Moments ago, President Trump posted on social media that the U.S. military carried out a second strike targeting drug cartels that he says were transporting illegal narcotics to the U.S. The president also posting this video. What more do we know about this strike?
So far, all we really know is what President Trump posted on Truth Social. He said that this was the second strike, as you mentioned, Jamish. 3 males, he says, who had left Venezuela, who he claims were narco traffickers.
It follows a similar strike carried out earlier this month in the southern Caribbean, and it comes as the Trump administration looks to ramp up pressure on the Maduro regime in Venezuela.
3 men never made it back from the sea that night. At exactly 19:06 hours, their fiberglass skiff turned into a bloom of fire on an infrared screen. But here's what you won't see in the official clip. No cargo recovered, no crew IDs confirmed, no wreckage inspected. The strike neutralized a threat in seconds.
He calls them specifically terrorists. He says were killed in action. This is the second strike, as you mentioned, in just under a week. Last Tuesday, the U.S. military taking another strike that killed, in that case, 11 individuals. But that strike has raised a lot of legal questions about the U.S.'s ability, their legal authority to strike at a boat like this. Since then, we have heard from a number of different Trump administration officials about that very issue. The U.S. claimed we're part of a cartel known as Tren de Aragua. Of course, the U.S. placed TDA under a foreign terrorist organization designation earlier this year.
But it also vaporized the chance to know who they were and what network they linked to. Was this victory or silence? That's the question this video forces you to answer. Before we move on, I'd like to ask you a small favor. If you appreciate this content, please take a second to like this video and subscribe to the channel. Over 98% of you watch the videos without subscribing. It costs you nothing, but it makes a huge difference to us. So, did you click the subscribe button? Great, thank you so much. Now back to the video.
Defending it, Secretary of Defense Pete Hegseth saying that he has the ultimate authority, complete and total authority, to carry out these sorts of strikes. But exactly what kind of aircraft carried it out? And even Capitol Hill has not gotten answers to all of their questions, including the legal authority. I suspect that, as you're seeing on the screen here today, right now, that being said, Jamish, we have gotten very little fidelity or detail about exactly what happened in this strike, including exactly how long the U.S. was watching the individuals in the strike last week.
A 35-foot skiff tore through black water at more than 45 knots. No lights, no transponder, no call on the radio. To its crew, the boat was a ghost, but from overhead it lit up clear as day. Sensors tracked every surge of its engines, every ripple in its wake, every figure pacing its deck. What made it suspicious wasn't just the speed. It was the silence. Ships in those lanes file position reports, hail for clearance, or at the very least respond when challenged. This hull did none of that, for outboards hammered in unison, carrying it out toward deep water at a pace that pushed it beyond safe boarding range. Was it a night run to haul contraband? Or just fishermen running late?
This second strike is going to raise similar questions about whether the Trump administration has the ability, as they say, to be striking these boats. Remember, right after the first one last week, and present a direct threat to the American public.
Well, a lot of questions, especially when you talk about the legal authority here. Monica, what should we make of the president's decision to increasingly go after drug cartels?
Secretary of State Marco Rubio said that it was probably headed to the Caribbean, maybe headed to the U.S. They've changed that talking point as well, now saying more specifically that they believe these drugs are headed to the United States.
Caught in the wrong grid square with the wrong boat? That question shaped the hours that followed. High above, a P-8 patrol aircraft orbited, its electro-optical pod locked in. Analysts in the cabin dissected every angle. In visible spectrum, tarps stretched tight over the bow and stern. In infrared scan, bodies paced along the centerline. Even the brand markings on the engine's Mercury, not Yamaha, registered clear on the feed.
Yeah, this is something that the president says he's also going to continue to do in this lengthy post. He also says and notes, by the way, that no U.S. forces were harmed in this strike, saying that the illicit activities by these cartels have wrought devastating consequences on American communities for decades, killing millions of American citizens. The president writing, no longer. And we know, Yamish, that he is supposed to be having an event coming up, but he says with a large warning in capital letters, if you are transporting drugs that can kill Americans, we are hunting you. That's the language that the president is using.
For 2 hours, the plane shadowed the craft. 2 hours of logging course, fuel burn estimates, drift corrections. But in that same period, no radio response came back. No flag flown. No signals offered up that could give away intent. The boat moved too fast for a cutter to intercept, too quiet for verification, too deliberate to ignore. The clock mattered. At 19:06 hours, the authorization finally came down the chain. Pattern of life confirmed hostile. Risk assessed unacceptable. Strike approved. In seconds, the decision turned into a flash on the ocean's surface. Yet the fireball didn't just mark the end of one skiff. It burned away every lead that vessel carried: charts, phones, cargo, and the trail back to the network itself. The blaze on the horizon settled one problem fast. The boat and its crew stopped moving. There was no chase through dark water, no firefight at close range, no patrol caught off balance by 4 roaring engines. For U.S. forces, that alone carried value. Lives protected, risk avoided, mission closed. But the game carried a cost. Go-fast vessels earn their name for a reason. They run faster than most patrol craft can give chase, and boarding them in rough seas means exposing crews to gunfire at 30 or 40 knots. That math favors destruction from standoff range. Yet destroying a boat outright means blacking out the very evidence that links networks together. No ledgers, no phones, no maps. What you secure is silence, not trails. That's the hard divide. Law enforcement needs chain of custody and physical proof. Warfare values removing threats before they act. 2 very different scorecards, and out at sea the military one wins by default. Human rights observers warn that skipping evidence erases accountability. Inside the Pentagon, even career officers question whether burning boats cut off deeper intelligence streams that take years to build. Think of it like cutting a tree before tracing its roots. The trunk vanishes in the blast, but the forest remains untouched underground. The flow of arms, fuel, and money keeps spreading even though one visible branch is gone. This is why the strikes matter. They mark a shift from attempting boarding or seizure to simply removing hostile craft outright. It's doctrine by fire, and it signals that interdiction now looks more like destruction. Tactical victory lasts minutes. Strategic blindness can last years, which leaves you with the choice. Do you view this as smart interdiction, or as a precedent that erases the very intelligence every future fight depends on? Comment your choice below. Annihilating a vessel at sea is fast, but speed comes at a cost. In that instant of fire, every path back to hidden partners, supply chains, and safe houses vanishes. What looks like decisive strength can turn into the very blind spot that derails the next operation. So the question falls to you: was this about security, or was it wasted intelligence burned away in seconds? Comment your choice below. If you want more breakdowns of how modern battles are fought and why decisions carry weight far past the battlefield, subscribe and join a community that seeks to understand the realities of modern conflict.